You're listening to the Sweet Face Podcast, the show that brings you love, knowledge, and power with your host, Dancia. 3, 2, 1, let's talk.
Trouble don't last, trouble don't last, trouble don't last always. Trouble don't last, trouble don't last, trouble don't last always.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Dancia and welcome to my podcast. I do have a special guest with me today. His name is Vince out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we are going to talk about what is a today relationship. Vince, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. So give me a little introduction of you as well as our listeners.
Yes, well, I'm a 41-year-old father of 5, originally from Chicago, Illinois, currently residing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm an 8-year military veteran, and I'm happy to be on your podcast.
Yay! Well, congratulations and thank you for serving your country. So you do know what the topic is we're talking about today, right? What's a today relationship? And we just going to free flow with the conversation. I know we have a lot of listeners that will love to hear this topic or us talk about this topic, but it's just as simple as it is. What is a today relationship in your opinion?
That's a great question, but the answer to that is probably a lot more complex than most would think it would be. I mean, it's really hard to define a today relationship. I think, our generation, we grew up, a lot of us grew up, seeing our grandparents, being married for, 20 in a stable household, whereas today, you don't really see, relationships that, first of all, result in marriage, and definitely the ones that do, they don't tend to really last, or stand the test of time. So to answer that question, it's just so much that goes into it. There's really no direct answer to that. A today relationship can be just about anything and consist of all sorts of, what I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you this. As far as the most important to the least importance, from how you saw it back in the day when your grandparents, as husband and wife, how they mended their relationship together versus now, what is, do you feel like relationship today is more not really a relationship?
I do. I actually do. The core values, the foundations that those relationships that I spoke of were built on. I think now people, tend to trust less, and with that, infidelity. So I think we definitely have work to do in that department. It's not, all hope is not lost. It's just that, our generation and the generations, it seems like that are even behind us, they just have there's a misinterpretation of what a, relationship should be. And it's not really, it's not getting any better from where I'm looking at it.
Okay. So you feel that it's not getting any better?
No. Not at all, because we, the examples that we had or have, like I said, those were like grandparents, and a lot of those grandparents aren't really, a lot of them aren't really around anymore, so we don't really have anything to look up to in that regard, and so now you have, we're just kind of, out here wandering around in the wilderness, trying to figure out what, a relationship should look like, and then, we have kids, a lot of us have children, and we're trying to be the example for them, but at the same time, they're not really seeing what they should be seeing, from us, So it's a trickle down effect. And,
Okay, so
like
do you feel like that is society's fault?
Oh, well, I'm not a finger pointer, but yeah, there's a lot to it. Everything that I'm speaking on, and when you start factoring in things, that we see on television, and you start factoring in the music that we listen to, you start factoring in, social media, which has been the biggest enemy of relationships. Yeah, I think society has a lot to do with that.
So, so as far as, well, let me ask you this question first. Are you single, married, dating?
Oh, I'm single. Everybody thinks that I'm dating or with somebody, but just to set the record straight, I'm single.
Okay, so you're single. So when you're looking, well, obviously you're single, and eventually you want to be in a relationship, I think, right? Do you look forward to getting married?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so in order to take those necessary steps, what are you looking for in a woman when you're dating, and then what is the next level going to your relationship?
Well, that's a great question. Me personally, and I tend to, obviously we can only speak for ourselves. I know everybody's going to be looking for different things, but myself, I'm definitely looking for someone who knows what a relationship should feel and look like. And not only that, what I'm saying, I'm looking for somebody who's willing to make whatever sacrifices need to be made in order to maintain a long, healthy relationship. There's other things that factor into that, like loyalty and somebody who's into God and spiritual in that way, and somebody who's about family. There's other aspects to it, but this somebody who wants what I want and is willing to, like I said, put in the time and the effort. Okay,
so well, that's good things. That what are you looking for in a woman? What do you think the average woman is looking for? Because I'm a woman, obviously, and I can say many things what I'm looking for, but at the same time, I kind of feel like I don't think that a man his visual focus is really on date to relate, or am I just dating to see where it takes us? So in your case, can you give back what you're looking for? So if you're looking for loyalty, respect, a godly, spiritual woman, someone who is not afraid to give up things that's not so important to make this work versus things that aren't, can you give that back to what you're looking for?
I definitely can. I can only speak for myself, but I think you're really hitting on a great point in that a lot of times we find ourselves asking for things that we're not, able to reciprocate. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's been a major issue, or is a major issue in, the relationships that you see today. I think people have expectations going into something, and then when those expectations aren't necessarily met, then that's where you can start to see take a turn. But no, I know I can. Me personally, I wouldn't ask anything of anybody, that I'm trying to get to know, that I'm not willing to, to give back in return. But, not everybody thinks that way. We a lot of times people want the world, but they're not, not willing to put the effort and the sacrifice in order to receive that. And then you have one person giving 100 and you're only giving 50 to 60. And you already know.
Do you think it's important for a person that you're dating to give you 100, or a person you're in a relationship to give you 100?
Yeah, it's important because I feel like any effort or any energy that's put out should be matched.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because that's your opinion, and your opinion is great. And I think opinion matters because this is how we get to know one another. I personally feel that I can only give my 100 to my husband, first off. I can be submissive to my husband because he's my husband, or at least that's what I should be. But at the same time, sometimes I think that we really don't understand what we want sometimes. I think because what we see and what we see in others, we want that, but we don't know what they went through to keep it or get there or to whatever. Who knows? Somebody could have cheated and they forgave one another and prayed and talked to God and so on and so forth. But so you do think that it's important for you to match. We need to match each other.
Yeah, I do. But you also make a great point because that is so true. A lot of times people don't know what they want. You know, we see, like you said, we see things and we, you know, oh, that looks nice, or well, I wonder, you know, I would love to have what she has or he has, but like you said, we don't know what it took for them to even get to that point. And a lot of times the things that we think we want, you know, we get into situations and we find out, you know, that not so much. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great point that you made. But yeah, I also agree with you as well as far as, you know, being somebody's husband or being a wife. Sure, that person should definitely get the 100%. And you can make the argument that if you're not married, you know, then why should I give, you know, that kind of energy, or why should I match somebody on that level?
Well, right. Well, I personally think in order, you know, to kind of, when you're dating someone, and this is just my opinion, when you're dating someone, you're getting to know that person, and as you kind of feel the vibe and, you know, you become interested in that person and it goes to the next level as far as relationship. And then that's when it gets a little bit more serious. And of course, you know, you get to learn a lot more about this person. And sometimes you see the good, bad, and the ugly. Sometimes you don't even see that until you get married. So They say you really don't know your spouse until you actually get married. But I personally think that a lot of people don't really know what they want. And that's just my opinion. I think they probably been through so much, whether it's a man kind of been in and out with different women, or a woman been in and out with different men, and now they're just kind of confused and mad and angry, but want to be happy and live a happy life and so on and so forth, and want the perfect guy, the perfect woman, but they really don't really understand what they want. Some women feel like, well, I want a man who knows exactly what to do and leave the house, but then they call him they say that he's controlling. Or a man said, well, I want a woman that can cook and that can do this and do that. And then, you know, he becomes lazy. So this is not the battle of the sexes, but you know, you said earlier that you feel like it's not hope for relationships to get better today. Because we don't have what we had before, and it's not passing the baton down to the next generation on this is what you look for in a woman or a wife or a husband or a man. Would you say you agree?
Yeah, no, I mean, I stand behind that because, and I'm not. And let me backtrack just a little bit.
Well, before you backtrack, let me just put you in a part 2 because we're gonna run out, and we'll just get you in part 2. Just hold on for a second, okay?